travel along Catholic pilgrims for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Catholic pilgrims, welcome back to day 26 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. So, today's topic is all about doubt. And I think that's a really good thing to talk about because sometimes we feel as Christians or Catholics that we can't ever talk about our doubts because that means that, maybe our faith is leaving us or that we're a bad Christian. And, I think it is good to talk about because it gets it out in the air. And she writes a lot today in what we're going to read about a lot of doubts. So today's readings will be from Notebook 1, 74 through 76. One day, I felt driven to take steps to see to it that the Feast of Mercy be instituted and the image of the merciful Jesus be painted, and I could find no peace. Something was pervading my whole being, and yet I feared being deluded. However, these doubts always came from outside, because in the depths of my soul, I felt it was the Lord who was penetrating my being. The priest to whom I was going to confession at that time told me that one can often have illusions, and I felt that he was somewhat afraid to hear my confession. This was a torture for me. Seeing that I was getting very little help from people, I turned all the more to Jesus, the best of all teachers. At one time, when I was filled with doubts as to whether the voice I heard came from the Lord or not, I began to speak to Jesus interiorly without forming any words. Suddenly, an inner force took hold of me and I said, "If you who commune with me and talk to me are truly my God, I beg you, O Lord, to make this ward go this very day to confession. This sign will give me reassurance." At that very moment, the girl asked to go to confession. The mother in charge of the class was surprised at this sudden change in her, but she undertook to call a priest immediately, and this person made her confession with great compunction. At the same time, I heard a voice within me say, "Do you believe me now?" And once again, a strange power pervaded my soul, strengthening and reassuring me to such a degree that I myself was surprised that I had allowed myself to doubt, even for a moment. But these doubts always come from without, a fact which inclined me to close myself up more and more within myself. When, during confession, I sense uncertainty on the part of the priest, I do not open my soul to its depths, but only accuse myself of my sins. A priest who is not at peace with himself will not be able to inspire peace in another soul. O priests, you bright candles enlightening human souls, let your brightness never be dimmed. I understood that at the time it was not God's will that I uncover my soul completely. Later on, God did give me this grace. O my Jesus, direct my mind, take possession of my whole being, enclose me in the depths of your heart and protect me against the assaults of the enemy. My only hope is in you. Speak through my mouth when I, wretchedness itself, find myself with the mighty and wise, so that they will know that this undertaking is yours and comes from you. Okay, so I always read these ahead of time before I talk about them on here, and I had written down a bunch of things that I wanted to talk about on doubts, but as I was reading this again, something came into my mind that I really felt like I needed to talk about. And I do want to talk about doubts, but sharing a story from my own life. So, first off, we all have doubts. We all do in some capacity. I mean, I doubt right now that America's going to be okay, and I doubt sometimes that the COVID thing is, ever going to go away, and that we can ever get back to a normal life. I have so many doubts, and sometimes I doubt what I'm doing. I doubt if I'm going to be on here be able to do my podcast if for some reason the social media giants crack down on Catholics. So many doubts. But I wanted to share with you a time when God really did say to me and my husband, Do you believe me now? So we had our first daughter when we were 22, and our next daughter followed 4 years after, 4 years after her. And then we went through a period of where we weren't actively trying to have children. But once we decided that we were going to have children, some more children, I just kept miscarrying and miscarrying and miscarrying. And it was quite devastating. And the last miscarriage, number 8, occurred when my husband left for deployment. I didn't realize I was pregnant right when he left for deployment, and then when he left, I found out I was pregnant, and I sadly miscarried that child while he was gone, which was incredibly difficult. But when my husband came home and we moved to Virginia, we talked about, do we want to try again? Because I now had an idea of maybe what was going on with my body and why I was miscarrying so much. And man, it was a spiritual wrestle to lose 8 children and try to, figure out what God's plan was and all of that. And that's a story for another day. But we were trying to decide whether we wanted to try again, because I was so scared that, if we did, we'd lose another baby, and that would be 9. And it gets to the point where you just can't take it anymore. But we decided we were going to try again. But we decided that this time we were really going to pray, and we were going to be happy when I saw, that I was pregnant. Because before, after each, miscarriage, whenever I would get pregnant again, I felt this weight, like, oh gosh, it's going to happen all over again. But so I got pregnant, and when I found out, I ran out to my husband and we hugged, and it was wonderful. And we both knew that we had to pray. And so we never find out what our children are going to be until the day they're born. So we were both praying on our own, and my husband would go out into the little wooded area behind our house, and he would pray. And one night when we were coming back, we were getting ready for bed, and he said to me, Amy, I got to tell you something. How stuck on the name Tristan are you? Now, I had always known that if I ever had a little boy, I wanted to name him Tristan. And I said, well, it's the name I've had picked out for like forever. And he said, well, I was praying, and I really felt like God was telling me that everything was going to be okay, and that we should name this baby Jeremiah. And I was like, okay, I don't even know what Jeremiah means, and because names are really important to me. So he said, well, God said a couple things, because I told God, how do I know everything's going to be okay? How do I know everything's going to be okay with this baby and with Amy and everything? And my husband said to me, he said, I really felt like God said, you will have a boy, you will name him Jeremiah, I will make him great, and everything will be okay. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go look up the name Jeremiah. Neither one of us knew, so we grabbed our phones, and I punched in Jeremiah, and the name Jeremiah means God will make him great. And I really felt at that moment that God said these words to me, do you believe me now? Just like he said to Sister Faustina. I looked at my husband and I said, looks like we're naming this baby Jeremiah. It was such a powerful moment for both me and my husband. And, for me as the mom, all my doubts and my anxiety about that, my child didn't completely go away. But gosh, man, did it just restore my faith. And like she says, my soul was strengthened. A strange power pervaded my soul, strengthening and reassuring me to such a degree that I myself was surprised that I had allowed myself to doubt even for one moment. I felt exactly like that. All of a sudden, I felt just strengthened. It was like God gave me just this shot in the arm that I so needed after going through 8 losses. And he knew just when to lift me. And so I would encourage you, Catholic pilgrims, whatever you're doubting, if you're doubting maybe that your kids are never going to come back to the faith, or if you're doubting that your spouse will never come with you to Mass or get on board with Christianity, or whatever it is, if you're doubting the state of our country, just hold on, have faith. Tell those doubts to God. Tell them to Him, because that's what me and my husband did. We told God, God, we don't know if this baby's going to be okay. And thanks be to God, I did give birth to our Jeremiah. He is 6 years old now. And it was such a blessing. Sometimes you just don't have the words. But anyway, hang in there, Catholic pilgrims. With any doubts that you have, bring them to Christ. He wants to hear you say them. He wants to be there with you. And He will find a way to answer you. It may not be as crystal clear as, do you believe me now, like Sister Faustina got, but in His way, in the way that's best for you, He will let you know that He's there and that you can trust and believe in Him. So we'll leave it there today, Catholic pilgrims. I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. I always do. And until next time, live the faith boldly and travel well.